try and be self-reflective and criticize myself around areas where I don't think, as rationally or logically as I'd like to, or I break bad in some way. Often what I'll come back to is kind of like a root issue, or at least one of the root issues, is laziness. I'll often say, certain activities that I do or actions that I take, it's to minimize friction. It's to minimize the hassle of having to do more, require more of me. So like I've said before, I'm a people pleaser. I tend to tell people what they want to hear. And there's probably layers to that and nuance, but I think in many ways, telling somebody what they don't want to hear is more work, seemingly. And that's an example of laziness. It's smoother, easier, less mental effort if I just tell them what they want to hear, and then we don't have to have a big thing. They're happy and everything's good. And I've thought that for a while, that, laziness is underneath that. And even, my current career path, changing careers, there's a degree of laziness there. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort to make those changes. Therefore, I don't do it. But I've been thinking more about it lately, and I've wondered more and more, is it laziness really, or is it just weakness? Because I think laziness implies you're avoiding hard work, you're avoiding effort, you're avoiding having to do something that's going to put some sort of strain on you. Versus weakness, I think, or at least in the way that I'm thinking about it for myself, is it's an avoidance of discomfort, which sounds similar, that is similar. I guess it sounds the same, but I don't think it is. I think there's a difference there. I think there's a difference between I just don't want to do anything. I just want to be able to just relax and chill and sit on the couch, whatever, versus, a willingness to do work in whatever form or fashion that comes in. And there's a difference between that and, hey, I'm willing to do work. I just don't want to do stuff that's uncomfortable in the truest literalist sense of the word, right? Not like an annoyance, but like a true discomfort. Something where when you do it, everything about it feels like I don't want to be doing this. I think that's more of the issue that I run into. So even the people pleasing, right? It's less about the fear of work or effort, because I don't think I'm a lazy person, right? I'm in relatively good shape now. I exercise. I do lots of work kind of around the house, taking care of the house, things like that. I do my work at my job. I do these videos. I spend a lot of time doing things. I'm not the type of person that's just lazy and unmotivated and just sits on the couch and just doesn't want to do anything. But the things I avoid are the things that bring discomfort, not work, right? I'll go for a 3-4 mile run, but having to have that difficult conversation, competing in that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, thinking about taking a risk in a career path, those things are uncomfortable. They're not just hard work, or even in some cases not hard work at all. It's just uncomfortable. And that's what I'm seeking to avoid. And, that's not terribly out of the norm, right? People don't like being uncomfortable. I think that's pretty generally well known. So that's not too crazy in and of itself. But I think the degree in which I do it, the way in which I do it, my avoidance of it at the risk of other benefits, right? So because you could say, well, it's the calculation, right? You're running a calculation in this situation. Let's say it's somebody that works for me and I have to give them some negative feedback, right? Some developmental feedback where they just didn't do their job the right way. In that moment, the calculation would run and it would say, well, it's going to be uncomfortable for me to have to tell them this. Their reaction, they may not take it well. They might be upset. They might be angry. That's going to be uncomfortable for me. And probably have to dig deeper as to why that's uncomfortable for me. But let's just leave it at that for now. So the calculation spits out and it says that cost is too high. And the benefit, right, either I don't care about my job that much or they didn't do that bad of a job. You can start to rationalize that away. And it's, well, cost is too high. I'm not going to do it. But you sacrifice that longer term or that bigger benefit, right? You're hurting that person. You're not giving them feedback that they need. They're not going to do better the next time around. So it's probably putting more work on me. The end result, right? The client or whoever we're working with that's depending on that output, they're not getting what they want out of it. Maybe I'm not getting promoted as quickly or not doing as well in my job. or just a general sense of like mental fulfillment and well-being. I know that that person needs that feedback. I know that in my position I should be capable of giving it to them. But if I take that easy way out, again, not because of laziness, not because I'm afraid of work, but because I'm afraid of that discomfort, everybody seems to be worse off. So the calculation, when you step back and think about it, avoiding discomfort, sure, in some cases it makes perfect sense, right? Don't go out and sit on the beach if it's 120 degrees in a sweatshirt. That's uncomfortable and there's not much benefit to it. But it's identifying those areas where, sure, there's discomfort, there's a cost, but it's a net positive thing, right? And I've talked about this before, I'm in the midst of this 75-day challenge, which is kind of like a workout, well-being type challenge. And these, to me, those are the opportunities. That's where you get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where you push that, exercise that muscle. And for me, I found that it's nowhere near as difficult as it is to do the things that really make me uncomfortable. But it does build muscle. It does build the ability. It's incremental benefits. It's benchmarks and reference points that you can look back on and say, hey, I've done this before. I've done stuff. Tonight's a perfect example. I still have a 45-minute workout to go. I have to do some reading. I'm making this video. Tomorrow's work. My son has school. There's all sorts of stuff going on. But I'm going to go do that stuff because I have to. Now, again, that's easier. But that next time I'm in that difficult conversation or I need to make that tough choice where I know it's the right thing to do, but it's going to be uncomfortable, hopefully that gives me the ability, the capability, the mental toughness to go on and do that.